Order.
Good morning. My name is Davey Nichols. I'm going to run this thing for us. So let's approve the minutes of February 9th. Everybody get a chance to look at those?
I don't approve, minutes be read.
We got to,
Approved is read.
all right, we got a second?
Second.
All right, all those in favor of approving the minutes from February 9th?
Aye.
All right, ayes have it. All right, so let's go on to the first case here. Annette Robinson, 737 Newtown Road, Whitestone, Virginia, requests a variance from Article 5-5-1R-1 yard regulations of the Lancaster County zoning ordinance for a new home to be constructed within the 25-foot side setback on property located at 737 Newtown Road, tax map number 34-159H. Do you have any comments regarding this one?
No, sir.
Okay. Is there somebody that represents the parties involved that wants to speak about this? Okay.
The applicants are here.
Yeah, come on up to the podium here and just state your name and.
Annette Robinson.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Can you just explain to us what you're proposing to do?
I'm trying to build a house on this property, and it's not, it's supposed to be 25 feet from my, line, and it's not enough. It's lacking a few feet, I think he said it was.
Okay. Have you all had a chance to have a look at this one? Any comments?
Yeah, I got a couple questions. When did you buy the property?
It's been about 6 months ago.
And looking at our packet of information, it appears that the house can be built if it's turned. My question is that you bought the property 6 months ago. When you met with the builder prior to getting this far into it, was there ever any discussion about having the house built so that it would be within the 25-foot setback?
No, because I asked him was the house gonna fit on the property, facing straight forward. That was one of the questions, and he assured me that it would fit.
May I weigh in, Mr. Fleet?
Yeah.
Okay, so the plans were sent by her builder, who never reached out to the county for the county ordinances for land development. They just submitted the packet. So Ms. Robinson was actually in a tough position because she put out a certain amount, a dollar amount to have these plans drawn up. When that offer was given to her by myself, the builder then wanted an additional substantial amount of money to redesign the house.
Is the builder here today?
No, sir. They are out of state builder, if I'm correct,
They're from, Richmond.
or out of county rather.
How much is the actual variance they're looking for? Like, how much are they gonna go into the setback?
So on the, if you're standing in front of the lot, the left side of the property is proposed 16 foot 4 inches, and the right side of the property is 21.5.
So at a maximum, they're looking for about 7.5 feet
Yes, sir.
of encroachment. And neighbors are
No,
aware?
no opposition
No
from the
opposition.
county staff. No, sir.
You guys have any questions?
It seems to me that she either stays with this builder or gets a new builder if she wants to change it. But, I don't have a problem with the 7 feet.
Ed, you got anything?
I don't think so. I think the builder should have definitely checked, but I can't really say that that's her fault.
Yeah.
I mean, it's,
I don't think you're asking for a huge amount of encroachment, and I don't think if your neighbors aren't against it,
No, that's all family.
and I know that area well.
it is family on both sides?
Both sides.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I'd be in favor of making a motion, we pass as requested. Oh, can I make a motion? Am I allowed to do that?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
sure.
Make a motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
The one thing I would ask for the staff to do is just make a note about this particular builder. I mean, in this particular case, you know, it's all family property. I mean, I know where the property is, it's all family property, but if it were not family property, I think that we could be in a different, you know, I just don't want to set a precedent just because, you know, I realize that she's in a bad position that, of no fault of her own. I would just ask staff to let note of who this builder is, you know, and making sure going forward that we try to avoid that.
Absolutely, and that has been done because they had also sent another project with a similar situation.
Yeah, I just don't want to set a precedent, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, well, I think you're all set.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time.
You're welcome.
Okay, next on the docket. Howard Dix, 356 River Bluff Road, Whitestone, Virginia, requests a variance from Article 5-5-1, R-1 yard regulations of Lancaster County zoning ordinance for construction of a two-story attached garage to be constructed within the 25-foot side setback on the property located at 356 River Bluff Road, tax map 34-303. Do we have some folks here that want to talk about this? Come on up to the podium there and state your name.
The applicant is here.
Oh, sorry, applicant, yep. Come on up.
Mr. Dix.
Before the applicant speaks, is any information from staff?
I'll try to help with any questions you have after the fact. I'm going to leave my position neutral.
Morning, sir.
Good morning.
Can you state your name and give us a little information about what you want to do?
My name is Howard Dix. My name is Howard Dix. My wife and I own a house at 356 River Bluff Road. We own a house at 356 River Bluff Road. It's been in my family since we moved into the house in 1948. We'd like to do an update on the house by replacing the garage. It has fallen into disrepair and it's really no longer usable and it's not big enough for a car or a boat with a trailer to go in there. So we'd like to move or demolish the boathouse or the garage and move it and make it an attached garage that will house a boat or trailer. And it also moves it off the line, the existing garage off the line, and makes it more conforming. It's my understanding it makes it more conforming in terms of the county's requirements. It also will free up the land for a little bit of additional parking because the lot is so small there's not much place to park without driving right into the front yard. Do you have any questions of me?
Let's start with Don Wagner.
I went out and looked at it. The garage has been on the line since the house was built.
It's been there since I moved there, as far back as I can remember.
Okay, and and what you're doing, how much, you're gonna only, if you build your garage onto the house, you'll now have 5 feet off the lot line?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. It's pretty tight out there. I looked at all the houses. There's not much room side to side anywhere.
Yes, you're correct.
At what point on the house, Mr. Dix, where will the garage start in relationship to the side door, I believe it is? Towards the bridge would be more or less the,
That would be the side it would be on,
yeah.
yes.
And how far does it come to to that side of the house? I mean, what is the configuration of how the garage would be with, I guess, a breezeway walking to the garage, is what you're saying? Is that correct, or?
The garage would be completely attached, and any ingress from that side of the yard would go around the outside of the garage towards the river.
Okay. All right.
And does that answer your question?
How far to the river does it go? You know, from the front of your house, which I'm standing at the road, looking at the house. How far does the garage go down the side towards the bridge again?
It would not run any further than the existing edge of the house now.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, a couple of questions. You said you've owned the property for how long?
It was purchased in 1948.
So according to what was in our packet, and it could be just a typo, I'm just asking, did you change the, how it was deeded back in November of 2020?
I'm not sure the date, but yes, that's correct. Late in the year, my sister and I, we inherited it together,
Okay.
and I, in effect, bought her out.
Okay, that's fine. And looking at what you're wanting to do, are you increasing the height of what is there today? So what is there today that you're going to demolish, and you're going to put in, the way I read the packet, you're going to add that to, you're going to attach that to your house, but are you increasing the height of what's there?
Yes, if we get the variance or the agreement from the board to build the garage, we would add a second floor. Since we're building a garage, we're really in desperate need of a space. It's a very small house.
I understand that, but I guess, so in your mind, in trying to ask for the variance, and this is, I'm just asking your opinion, where is the hardship for you in regards to, I appreciate trying to add it to your house to come off the line, but it seems to me that you're coming off the line, but you're also increasing what's currently there. It's not a trade of equal, you know, it's not like you're trying to add a garage, come off 5 feet and have the exact same size, footprint, and height of what is there today. And it's tight down there to begin with.
Yes, it is tight. What's there doesn't fit our needs. We intend to eventually turn the house into something that looks nice and is very functional, and an attached garage meets the criteria before we really go any further with anything. And if we're going to build it and take the time and the money to do that, is our feeling that we gain by adding a second floor to have a room above the garage that would add additional space should we need it.
Are you also increasing the square foot, the footprint as well as the height, or is it just the height that you're increasing?
There will be 2 stories, and the bottom floor will attach to the house and go towards the bridge and be about the width of the house.
You know, I guess what I'm asking is what's theirs today, I realize, based on what you're telling us, is you're gonna demolish that. I guess my question is, what is the footprint there? Is it a 20 by 20? I mean, in your estimation, when you put this new garage on, are you increasing the footprint and the height?
Yes.
The hardest part for our job is defining what a hardship is and is not. if you really wanted a garage, 2 stories, is there another spot on your property that you could put it within the confines of easements and such? There's not.
No. There's a proximity to road, a proximity to the terrain in both the water side and the left side of the house as you're facing it towards the river is a deep ravine. That's the access from our height
Okay.
to the sand beach.
Do you feel like your hardship is because there was already an existing structure, and do you feel like the trade of taking that down and then putting something newer, more modern up
Yes, absolutely.
is equitable?
That's the way we see it, yes.
Yeah. I don't know if in everyone's eyes are gonna see it that same way. Because there's lots of people that have a little shed right on the line, and if they could just take those down and put up a 2-story building, then we wouldn't really need lot lines at all. Do we have any opposition from neighbors or anybody?
We do, they're here as well.
Can we hear from them
Oh, sure.
before deciding? Do you mind just taking a seat for a minute while we talk to them?
Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you for the opportunity for this opportunity to talk to, this committee about this variance and all.
Could you
And
state your name?
My wife and I,
Your name?
my name's Charles Segrist, my wife Susan Segrist. We live next door to Jean and Susan Dix. As I said, thank you for the opportunity to speak to you all. My wife and I are very opposed to this variance because of it'll affect our privacy and the value of our home, because the footprint that you all were asking about well, could I give a little background? We learned about our neighbor's plan to tear down the existing garage, which is right next to the property line, and they showed us the dimensions by putting down PVC pipe, and it was going to end up being within, according to Mr. Dix, within about 5 feet of the property line. And with the garage and the second story, we would have a 30-foot tall addition within 15 feet of the side of our home, which we feel would totally take away our privacy and, disregard any opinion we have or, in regard to this. I mean, so we're totally against it and all. So I just wanted to say that. And we just found out about this hearing, sir, 2 days ago, and we haven't been receiving our mail from the Whitestone Post Office where we live in Whitestone. I went over there just 2 days ago, Tuesday, to ask why we haven't been getting our mail, and they told us they're short of carriers. So I asked if they had mail for us, and they gave me a packet and a notice that said they had a certified letter for me. It turns out the certified letter was from you all concerning this hearing. So we just found out about it 2 days ago, Tuesday, almost at the close of the post office. I called Mr. Farrell to get a little information of what's going on, and just really mention we were opposed to this because of how close this addition would be to our home. And, basically, I asked if we could postpone this hearing because of the short time that we had to prepare for this, and he mentioned that, no, we can't reschedule it and all. So, I would have preferred to possibly have an attorney to represent us, because I'm not conversant in all zoning laws and all that. So, when I talked to my attorney, he couldn't come here with us to represent us because his wife is having chemotherapy treatments this morning. So when I found that out yesterday, I knew that our friend Jack Larson here was very conversant with, very knowledgeable about zoning and all, and I called him and asked if he could come and maybe speak in our behalf, because he knows about zoning and all. And I just wanted to mention that if he could, speak in any about our apprehension of what this addition would do to devaluing our property and just infringing on our privacy. So may he speak?
That's cool, right?
Yeah, just a quick question, just so I'm more of a visual person. If I'm on the river, are you to the left of this property?
When you are standing on River Bluff Road,
Yes?
okay, our home is to the right. Right at the curve where River Bluff Road turns to the left. So
yeah,
I just wanted to say,
Yeah.
we're not opposed if they wanted to tear down the existing garage, which is close to the property line, and replace that. But their plan to put a two-story addition that'll be within 15 feet of our home just is not acceptable. And we just feel like the footprint is just totally against the zoning and all.
We'll happily listen to Mr. Jack Larson speak.
Please.
Good morning, gentlemen, Mr. Chairman. I also want to thank you for the opportunity to come before you and speak on behalf of the Segrist and their opposition to the approving of this variance. I listened to the comments made by you as members of the board, made by Mr. Nichols, Mr. Fleet, Mr. Langlow, Mr. Davis. When Mr. Fleet asked about what was being requested here in terms of the variance, he focused on the height and the size of the footprint, both absolutely appropriate. And the footprint is some 50%. If you look at the survey that was done by Mr. Stallings, that footprint that is being proposed is roughly 50% greater than the garage or the shed that is offered as being torn down. So not a particularly good trade. And the shed is a relatively low one-story shed, whereas they're asking to go 2 stories up, right next to the Segrist house. Mr. Nichols spoke about the hardship and difficulty of trying to determine what the hardship is. And as Mr. Segrist has already said, they don't have a problem with that existing shed. When they bought their property and came in, that shed was there, and they recognized the fact that it's very close to the property line. But as he stated, there's a big difference there between where that is and where this addition, which will become part of the house, is located. That shed currently is back behind and does not impact anything relative to the houses down there. Whereas what the Dixes are proposing to do is to intrude into the 25-foot setback, right down between the 2 houses, where there's already a very limited distance between them. And I'd like to talk about that distance for a second, because if you look at it right now, the survey that's done, the Dix house is currently compliant even with existing zoning laws. It looks to me, the way this is drawn, that the Dix house is 25.7 feet from the side setback, or excuse me, from the property line. So they have a 25-foot setback. So while the Dixes are proposing that they would take that shed out, which would then, and it is a non-conforming shed by being right on the property line, while they're proposing to take that out, they're asking that you let them create another non-conforming situation by putting that addition on the house. And not only is it non-conforming, but I would ask you to think about what they are asking for. Number one, as Mr. Fleet pointed out, again, what they're proposing is much larger. It's 2 stories. And by coming out there 20 feet from the side of their house, they are intruding into that 25-foot setback, not a small amount, which I think is to some degree what you all are normally used to seeing. And it might even be a corner of a house where people want to intrude in the side setback. Here, the whole thing is wanting to be put in there. I just don't see how that can be reasonable. The whole addition will go inside that 25-foot setback. So it will be very, very non-conforming. In effect, they are asking that that intrusion take up 80% of the total setback. Now, as Mr. Segrist has said, they want to be reasonable, they want to be good neighbors. It's in everybody's, obviously, it's in everybody's best interest to try and come up with something that's reasonable. And to that end, they say, or they suggest, that perhaps the Dixes could take that existing shed, tear it down, use that portion of the footprint, add another 12 feet going into their lot. It would look something like the highlighted, that highlighted, small highlighted piece there that you can see. And by the way, when you come over here to what is proposed, this is the Segrist property, of course, over there. Do you gentlemen have this survey in your packet?
They do.
Okay. But you can see that what they can do is come up here, and they can build that garage in the size and height that they want, and it's not going to impact the Segrists right down here, because that garage is somewhere up in here. It's not down here, blocking and affecting the property. And you can actually see it better by looking at the topo map to see how that might be a reasonable approach.
Where if you take that down, you can build what you want up here, and then you're out. What he's trying to do is move it from here to here and go up.
If they attach it
Is
to
that what
the
you're saying,
house,
is
it's
that
really
he
gonna
could just cut over
interfere.
this way?
Yeah,
If they
Yes, sir.
rebuild it,
Well,
I think
they
they can
could
rebuild
put
it,
the
but I,
remainder of the
and they can
footprint,
go here.
that additional 50%,
yeah,
if you
I
will,
agree.
they could put it in here. Now, in talking to the Segrists, and as I said, we haven't had much opportunity to really go over this, but I did go into the Lancaster GIS and determined that the Dix lot is almost a half an acre, it's 0.44 acres. Now, that's a reasonably, it's not as much as what the regulations now call for, perhaps, for a house in that area, but it's a reasonable size. There ought to be an opportunity to put a 1,000-square-foot building on there somewhere. But we recognize that there are limitations, i.e. the 100-foot setback takes up some of the property. I'm told that one thought that I had was that if they wanted to make it an addition, they could come off of the back end here, right in here. But I'm told that there's drain fields there, which could be an issue. And while it doesn't look like it, they might intrude into the setback from this community road. And then you also might say, well, why are you putting it over here? Why are you putting it over here when possibly you could put it over here? It looks like you have a little more room. And the answer to that is that it slopes down. So admittedly, there are limitations to that property, but
Put it over
I
here.
do believe this
is
could be
empty.
very much accomplished, because you're only coming out an additional
Put it
12
over
feet.
here. Yeah, no, I'm saying put it here, then whoever bought this, that's already there. I think the issue I'm having is that when they bought this house,
over here.
they knew that was there. Now all of a sudden, he wants to move it up here. That's not what they bought. You know what I'm saying? That's where my hardship.
So is our concern not so much the setback, but the forward location?
My concern is that if you move it here, you're increasing your footprint and height. It's not like you're just trying to say, I'm gonna make up something, this is 20 feet wide, 20 feet high. If you move that up here, that's one thing. But he's coming up here, and according to this, he's increasing it 50%, plus he's going up height, which is not what when they bought, that was there. That's what I'm talking about.
If they just replaced it where it is,
Correct.
they're not gonna interfere with anything that's
No.
there. The neighbors would agree, and they've got a new
And then
garage.
that's what, when they bought the house, that was what they bought. When they bought it, I was there.
That's
You know
right.
what I'm saying? Now, it's like you bought something and somebody's saying, okay, I'm gonna move this up, but I'm gonna increase it.
Right.
I just can't,
No, I don't think so.
that's not the hardship.
I agree.
I mean, maybe not what they wanna hear, but that's
Yeah.
Now, full disclosure, on this, by going this route right here, which we think is a reasonable thing to do, and which that Segrists are perfectly fine with, it would require an expansion of a non-conforming use, because even by coming back 12 feet, it would still be in the setback, and it'd still be non-conforming. But that's a whole lot less problematic in our mind. And the Segrest have already said they're not gonna come in and oppose that kind of request. So I just wanna point out that that would be required.
But that's in the same location. You're not moving, like, if you did this, if I understand you're correct, if I understand what you're telling us, if you did this, the location of this isn't changing. The shed still stays where it is, you're just going this way
Well, the
versus coming.
footprint still stays the same, but it's being added on to
But-
give them the size of what they want.
Correct, but you're not moving it back up towards the water, which
No.
is gonna be the.
No, it would be right where it is right now, at least in terms of the front and back of the property.
And it's not going to interfere with the house. From
No,
what the
not with
neighbors
them.
look over and they,
I think the important thing is it's not gonna interfere with either house, because
right,
Mr.
that's what I
Cheney
mean.
has argued, I call him Cheney, but Mr. Segrist has argued that it will affect the value of the property. Now, I know you hear that a lot, and sometimes it has merit, and sometimes it doesn't necessarily so, but I truly believe it does. Not only for the Segrists, but if you think about it, also for the Dicks, because of a perspective, so say the Dixes decide to sell the property, if a prospective buyer comes in and sees how close this new addition is to the other property, it may very well affect their value. So I think, like I say, by doing what they're asking for, would negatively impact both properties when you come right down. There is one other consideration, and I don't know if y'all are aware of it, and I don't know what impact it would have on your decision, but there's a set of covenants for this subdivision down there, recorded in deed, book 200 at page 519. And in these covenants, by the way, were recorded in July of 1977, so some 50 years ago. But it says in paragraph 4, all setbacks shall be in compliance of the present zoning and subdivision laws in Lancaster County. And towards the end there, it allows for automatic extensions of this, these covenants. Now, we do not know whether there's been anything recorded subsequent that would set aside these covenants. And I'm not a lawyer and certainly don't claim to be, so I don't know what legal impact. But it is another factor, I think, in this particular decision. So, in summary, I would simply say that I think you can see the facts of this case that could come out in your comments. And I think there is no hardship for the Dixes if they're permitted to do what would be proposed there and tear down that shed and use that portion of the footprint plus an additional 12 feet into their property. There's no hardship for them. On the other hand, if you do grant the hardship, you're creating a whole new non-conforming situation, and, if you do grant the variance, you're creating a whole new non-conforming situation, and additionally, you are creating a hardship for my friends, the Segrist. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Just as an aside, are they allowed to take the existing shed down and rebuild on that footprint without any interference?
Yes, sir.
Even though it's close to the?
Yes, sir.
Just wanted to clarify that. Well, let's go down the line one more time and get some final thoughts out.
They're allowed to tear down the shed now and build on that footprint. They want to tear down, the other alternative that we were just talking about is they tear it down, but they enlarge the footprint, but it doesn't go toward the Segrist property. But they'd have to have a new variance. If they just replace it, everything's fine. We don't have,
And then they would have to come back in for another board meeting?
if they wanted to increase the size of the structure,
It wouldn't be a variance, it would be a special exception for the board.
special exception.
Does that require us? Okay. Okay.
It seems to me that If they didn't increase the height and left it there, then there's not a problem. But I can understand increasing the height and size of the house that's next to them, and
Yeah. Ed?
Trying to stand in the middle and look at both sides. I think it is a true hardship to the Dixes. That can be comments both ways. He has very little bit of land, even being almost a half an acre, to work with, due to the river being in the front and the proximity of the two houses, the way they are. I think we're trying to figure a way to make everybody happy, which I think we are trying to resolve this best we can. I can understand the privacy issue to a degree. As far as devaluing either or both homes, we got so many homes in Lancaster County that are very close now, maybe too close for others, some not. But with the land we have to work with, and what Mr. Dix is asking for, or the Dix family, I think it is a true hardship. When I went in and looked yesterday, there is a window that would be looking down the river towards the Chesapeake Bay, which had a shade pulled. I don't know how much of that would be affected. Maybe we'd lose a little bit of view, but it's got a beautiful frontage there. I understand that it's bigger than what's there by a fair amount. He knows what he needs, he knows what he wants. I just feel like that it is a true hardship to the Dix family, and that I would say I would vote towards being a hardship, with the septic field being to the left is the way I can understand it. And I know that it is close, but the shed is being torn down and moved away. And then you're getting into a detached object, building, versus an attached. And that's going down another road, like was pointed out somewhat. So I feel like that it is a hardship. I think the privacy issue, is this a full-time home?
Yes, it is.
Okay, you live here full-time.
And they have another house on Susan. Can I?
Just let me finish, you'll certainly get a shot. But I feel for both families, I do, because it is tight. But I feel like that, I feel like it is a hardship on the Dixes.
Let me just first start off by saying, you know, you hear us up here saying the word hardship, and trust me, you know, we're all volunteers, and certainly when we get into a situation like this, it's very difficult, because at the end of the day, as Mr. Davis was saying, we can say it's a hardship for both families, but we've got to make a decision. And for me, I always go back to what was given to me when they put me on the board, and that is, to me, a hardship is there are no other options. You can't do anything. You know, I think for me personally, why I can respect Mr. Dix wanting to tear down a, dilapidated shed and make a very nice, garage with the living quarters above it. When I think of the word hardship, it's not like you're rebuilding, it's not like you're trying to do what you want to do and leave the shed where it is. It's not like you're trying to rebuild a shed with the same square footage. So for me, when I'm in this position, when I look at when clients come up here and are in the same scenario, it's, what are you rebuilding? And unfortunately, I can't get to the hardship for Mr. Dix because it's not, you're not trying to rebuild what's there. You're trying to increase what's there, and I can fully respect Mr. Dix, the cost to do it, the aesthetics, but that's not my job. I'm in this seat for the word hardship. I'm not in this job of devaluing property. I'm not a lawyer, I'm not an appraiser. It's not that's not how I look at my role. My role is, at the end of the day, what is the hardship for Mr. Dix? And to be quite honest, I can't get there because of what I've stated. You're going higher, you're moving the location. Yes, you're offering 5 feet off the line, but it's still not within the guidelines. So for me, I can't get there because of that. If you were wanting to build where it is today and leaving it there and doing what you want to do, for me, that would be a totally different conversation. But I can look at this picture and clearly see, and, I understand as a homeowner, certainly aesthetics and cost and, to maximize your value, sir, absolutely. You move it, you attach it to your house, and looks great. The issue is that to the neighbor side, that's not what's there today, So, unfortunately for me, I look at the word hardship as, what are your options? What can you do? If you wanted to just rebuild the one-car garage, rebuild your one-car garage, and if we had to vote, then we're voting on what's there. You're gonna build a new garage, but it's on the line. And you're not moving the location, and you're not increasing the square footage. If you want, that's where I come from. That's my stance on it. I just can't get, for me, the word hardship, I just can't get there before you, Mr. Dix, because, as I've stated, height, square footage, and you're moving the location.
Thanks, sir. I think this young lady wanted to say something.
I really didn't want to have to come up here. I'm Susan Seagrass.
Yeah, state
Yeah,
your name.
and, I want to keep the peace. Like, I love having neighbors. And, we moved here from Northern Virginia, and we had 17 houses, like, all around us. So I was thrilled to come and have the view. I mean, it's so pretty, and I heard somebody say something about, well, they're only missing a little of the view, but it's a lot. And we have windows all on that side, and they're large, and we wouldn't have a view. And so we're not opposed to something, but not this giant, huge structure. And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, there's no doubt this is a tricky one, and it's tough to sit up here and give us opinions, because it's not our business. Our business is to look at facts and try to keep emotions out of it. And where I'm hitting a dead end is if you came to me and you had this lot, and you said, I want to put a house with an attached garage on this lot, we'd say no, because you're on the lot line, and it just wouldn't work. But the house is already there. You've already got a little garage. It's hard to define a hardship as we want a bigger, grander garage, and we just want to fit it on the property. That falls more into the wish list category than a hardship. And it's challenging because I think there's probably a way to get what you want and also have the neighbors be happy as well. It might not get you all the square footage you want and everything that you're seeking, but I'm having a hard time defining this as a true hardship, as it stands proposed today. Let's take a vote unless anyone else has anything else to add to it.
I have a hard time seeing it as a hardship. I think that if they rebuild it on the existing footprint or even got a
Special exception.
a special exception to make it larger but not higher in the same location, I'm happy with that, but I can't vote for what they're proposing.
Yeah, and the mail thing, I apologize about that. It would have been great if you could have gotten that notification weeks ago, and you guys could have had time to discuss it, and maybe saved another trip back here, perhaps with a different idea that we could have passed without making, or potentially having you come back again to do this. So I apologize about the mail system.
Do you need a motion?
That's unfair.
Do you need a motion, Mr. Chairman?
Yeah, I'll make a motion, or you make a motion.
I'll make a motion. My motion is to deny the hardship as presented.
I'll second that. All in favor of the motion?
I have a motion that we deny it as is accepted,
Yeah,
as it's
I think that's the
presented.
same
Yeah.
motion you said.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
You need to go through the votes.
Yeah, all in favor of denying the motion? Or, what was I saying, accepting the motion of denying the request?
Mm-hmm.
All in
Aye.
favor?
Favor?
All
Nay-
opposed?
Nay on me.
Nay on it. All right, well, thank you, guys. If you guys want to leave, you can. We're just going to move on to other business. You don't need to be here for that. Do we have any other business?
No, sir.
I think that's, are we supposed to pick?
Are we picking officers, or do we just need advice?
I think we're gonna wait for that.
You say you want us to wait for that?
Yeah.
Crystal, you need this?
Do you need me to sign the minutes from last time? Or did that go by me? Might have gone by me.
What's that?
The minutes from last time.
Minutes.
I was supposed to sign them. I didn't-
Oh, yeah. Are we supposed to sign the minutes for the last meeting?